Welcome to Chat with Leaders. Our mission is to give resilient servant leaders a platform for sharing the inspiring things they're doing to lead their teams, customers, and themselves wisely. I'm today's host, Jeff Bond, Director of Client Services at Berry, where we build custom apps and deliver cloud integration solutions. I am so proud to welcome a remarkable leader and an experienced HR executive, author, and speaker, as well as board member to the show today, Tracy Notte. Thank you so much for joining us, Tracy.
Good morning, Jeff. It's an honor to be with you.
Well, it's an honor to have you on. You're such a remarkable leader, as I said, and I've really had the pleasure of working with you over the years. So such a gift to spend this time with you and to share your wisdom with others. As I told you, the point is to give our guests a platform to share what's inspiring their leadership, talking through any specific challenges that they're currently working to overcome, how they're doing that, and some of the principles they're putting into practice to lead faithfully and experience success in this current time. And we both know it's a very interesting time that we're in with COVID-19 and just the world turned upside down. So the first question I had for you, Tracy, I've really loved hearing you speak about how you build teams around trust, treating those around you as an extended family where culture is collaborative, people enjoy coming to work every day. What instilled these core values in this beautiful mission in your professional DNA, if you will, and why is it critical, in your opinion, to center HR leadership around those principles?
Yeah, I think really good HR leaders successfully balance the needs of the business with the needs of the workforce. And they have a genuine interest in their employees. They care how they're developing. They care about the kind of experience they have working for the company. They ensure an environment of integrity, trust, and inclusion. And they're an advocate for the workforce. And they also build a personal brand and a team that embodies that integrity and trust. You know, HR, we deal with a lot of sensitive issues, and we're the first line of defense when those issues arise. The HR team has to be seen by the business leaders as a workforce that has trust, they care, and that they're going to make thoughtful decisions. So I think the key to having a servant leadership minded team is to be really selective in that process of who you're going to bring onto the HR team, whether it's a promotion internally or someone who joins the team from the outside. And with my team, anyone who joins my team understands that in HR, we're a cost center on the organization. We have to build value in serving. And until COVID-19, I used to say that as a team, we spend more time together than we do with our own families. And therefore, the culture of the HR team must be one of inclusion, caring, and integrity. And that philosophy builds lasting teams that really go out of their way to support one another. And as a leader of that team, I really work hard to share that authority, put the needs of the employees first, and help people develop and perform as highly as possible.
That's really, really well said, and also being mindful of the business and understanding that there are initiatives that they are trying to accomplish, and of course, being a cost center. I think it's tough to look at each other as cost centers because we all have inherent value to the company, but we're not revenue producing. But by helping people through their challenges, their people challenges, you're empowering them to be better performers within the organization. So. And I've seen you do that brilliantly. What do you think as a result of the pandemic in 2020? I mean, this has created such serious health and financial complications for people everywhere. Organizations now more than ever really have to rely on their HR departments to ensure their workforce feels safe as possible. It's unprecedented, unpredictable time. So you have to also be mindful of the business to achieve their objectives, as we talked about. What are some of the most important things for HR leaders to be focused on right now as they navigate this COVID era while being, responsible to the people?
Jeff, I think there's two things that are really critical in this time. The number one thing is communication at every level across the organization. As companies have sent their workers home and they now have a distributed workforce, the communication channels between the workers and their managers and their colleagues and even the HR department is really key to keeping them feeling connected and part of something bigger and really to understand what's going on in the organization. In the absence of communication, people are going to fill the void with speculation. And Oftentimes speculation is more negative than the reality. So I really believe that a company's brand is defined by these worst of times. And proactive HR leaders and senior leaders should really be taking a humanistic approach, asking employees on a regular basis, how are you doing? How are your families doing? What can we do for you? The company is here to support you. And also letting employees know that the company is planning for the future. We should be using communication as a platform to engage with employees, to ask them how they feel about the company, how they feel about their role, and most importantly right now is how do they feel about returning to work? And if we can use these communication channels to get information flowing in both directions, we're going to be able to generate a tremendous amount of employee goodwill. And it will also help HR leaders get a sense of how do your employees feel? What's the temperature of the organization? And then you can get critical data so you can accurately forecast your workforce models. And that's really where HR can be a true leader and value to the organization. The second thing is this human capital experience is really changing. And this is a fantastic opportunity for organizations to redefine how they're going to engage with employees going forward. And HR needs to be at the forefront leading these conversations. It's a conversation about what is the culture that the company really wants to build after this pandemic? What does it look like as people continually are going to be working virtually? Are we giving our managers the training and the tools that they need to be successful in this type of environment? And are we giving them the ability to analyze performance and the skills to lead from afar, to lead a virtual workforce and build communication when it's not face to face?
Have you seen any particular tools of communication working well? I mean, it's different. Not everyone is accustomed to using things like Teams or Zoom or Slack or whatever tools they might use in the organization, and it might seem impersonal, but yet, you talk about this kind of beautiful vision of this engagement with the employees, this humanizing experience of actually asking people how they feel, which honestly it should always be that way. It's, I think this has kind of forced us into a deeper relationship with our teams, our people, and force us to think critically about how we're engaging our people, and I think that's something to be oddly thankful for. But have you seen any challenges with these types of tools in terms of being able to create that engagement, or have you seen the ability to actually maybe do better as a result?
Yeah, I used to be the person who didn't really enjoy being on a video or telepresence call. And now I really have so much more value for that type of communication because when you can see someone else, even if it's not face to face, and read their body language, it's so much more valuable in building that bridge when you can't be in the same room with someone. And we've all learned over the last couple of months, how to use Zoom, how to use Teams, how to use GoToMeeting. So I think that those are the platforms that are really helping us to keep the employees engaged with one another.
I've never heard the word telepresence. I actually really like that because I think the presence of being with one another is so particularly important, that level of engagement. And if you're intentional enough about that, you can build meaningful relationships within your teams and be present with one another. We had a guest at one point say that we've been socially distant for a long time, quite frankly, with all the means of social media, quick emails, texts. We're not really spending time being with one another, and so this has forced us to be more intentional about that. So thank you for introducing me to that term. That's excellent. um, what advice would you have for anyone considering developing their skills as an HR leader, and how to do it as effectively as you have? I know it takes a lot of focus on people and a lot of sacrifice, for what your own personal desires are, because you really are serving other people. So for anyone that's considering that path into HR leadership, what would you tell them?
I think the biggest thing that I can share is develop your breadth of experience. You know, people outside of the HR profession really don't realize how broad and complex human resources is. In a typical day, a senior HR leader may from hour to hour talk about HRIS systems, employment law, comp, benefits, talent, organizational design. They may have an employee relations issue or be asked to advise a senior leader. So senior HR leaders really need to be able to move fluidly between different topics very quickly. So the best advice I can give anyone in HR who wants to move up in their career is get exposure to as many elements of HR as possible. Volunteer for projects that may be outside of your discipline. Interview and seek out jobs that maybe you wouldn't ordinarily be interested in. Perhaps it's, you know, taking on a talent acquisition role or moving into payroll, because the more experience you have, it will really prepare you to be in a senior HR role.
Love it. Great advice. And it's such a gift really to hear your sincerity around what you've done and how you've built your career into executive leadership. And it takes those types of leaders to really help organizations forge ahead faithfully. You know, as we kind of move into the recovery phases now of COVID-19 and getting out of the weeds, reopening our offices, what do you think the most important thing right now is kind of a call to action would be for leaders in general, whether it's an HR business or other, to be focused on?
I think it goes back to the communication and understanding that not everyone is ready to come back to work, and it may not be for reasons that we think. It could be that they don't have childcare. It could be that we haven't communicated effectively to help employees understand what are we doing to keep them safe and to make sure that the environment that they're coming back to work in is one that is post-pandemic, you know, that we're able to make people feel comfortable. So I think communication again is really very important, and asking questions. Just because somebody says that they're unwilling to come back to work, you know, have a one-on-one conversation with them. Help to understand what exactly is the reason, and don't jump to conclusions.
Yeah, those questions really do clear up assumptions and really build stronger relationships. So really well said. Tracy, how would people get a hold of you if they'd like to learn more about you, your leadership, or just network with you?
I'm on LinkedIn, and I think that's the best way to reach out to me. I'm very active on LinkedIn and check in pretty much every day.
Excellent. Well, we'll make sure to post that onto our website, chatwithleaders.com, and share that when we post the episode. If you have any suggestions for our team as to how we can improve the show, you can email us at info@chatwithleaders.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram, which we are now on. I am catching up with the times. So Tracy, thank you so much for your time on Chat with Leaders today.
Thank you for having me.